Warning, if you have not watched the Five Nights at Freddy's movie yet and you intend to do so without getting it spoiled, I highly suggest clicking off this video and coming back to it when you actually watch a movie. So without further ado, let's get into the review. So the Five Nights at Freddy's movie is finally out after over 8 years of waiting, and as a hardcore FNaF fan myself, I actually quite frankly enjoyed this movie. However, it still has a lot, and I mean a lot, of flaws. So if you guys didn't know, on Rotten Tomatoes, the movie critics have definitely given them, let's just say, some pretty bad reviews. And while yes, the Rotten Tomatoes score is really low, I don't think that really gives a say in if this movie is good or bad. Like Jason Blum said, this movie was made for the fans. So at the beginning of the movie, there is definitely a very slow pace to it, especially explaining how Aunt Jane wants to actually take Abby into custody so she can make a few extra dollars, and trying to sabotage Mike's reputation so that actually happens. It also talks about how Mike has PTSD because of the kidnapping of his brother Garrett, and every night he dreams about the exact same day where Garrett was kidnapped, and he tries to find the man who did it. From this point on, the movie actually starts to get better because Mike Schmitz is actually going to the infamous pizzeria and actually starting out his job, and the security training video was absolutely great. A problem I did have with the movie was that there wasn't many gameplay aspects from the original Five Nights at Freddy's games implemented into the movie, and this was very weird because Five Nights at Freddy's is actually really known for actually closing the doors on the animatronics, having a lack of power. While it is much harder to do it in a movie, I still wish they had at least a little bit more of the gameplay aspects on there. That would have been extremely boring, and quite frankly, no one would have liked it, but just add it a little bit more next time. Another problem I have with this movie, which is a lot worse than not having gameplay aspects, is how unscary it is. It's just not scary at all. There were a few jump scares, most of them were spoiled in the trailers, but the one jump scare that did get me was the Balloon Boy jump scare where Mike opens the locker and sees Balloon Boy. The atmosphere itself wasn't really scary at all. Apart from that Balloon Boy jump scare, there was not another scene where I actually felt scared, and for Five Nights at Freddy's, that's not very good. But enough the negatives for now. Let's dive into some of the positives. One thing that I think the FNaF movie absolutely nailed was the animatronics. The animatronics are easily the best part of this movie, and as Blumhouse is a low budget studio, I thought they would kind of look very cheap, but these actually look amazing. I also thought the acting was pretty good, especially from Josh Hutcherson and Matthew Lillard. Vanessa's character or actor, Elizabeth Leal, she was also a good actor. However, her character was a bit iffy in terms of actual dialogue and story. The fact that a cop just stays at the pizza place that much kind of weirds me out and makes me feel like that doesn't really make too much sense, because doesn't he have other things to do as a cop? Something that also rubs me the wrong way is kind of adding on to the scary aspect, which has the animatronics acting silly and happy when Abby's around, which is fine, but I feel like they do a bit too much of it, especially when they made a table for it, having everybody kind of laying on the floor staring at the ceiling. I just, that wasn't really my cup of tea. I feel like the animatronics being happy and silly is kind of contradictory to the idea of their eeriness and being scary. I just think it's kind of weird. Also, another problem is how there's a lack of execution for actual events. For example, when Vanessa gets really mad at Mike, or eventually she just randomly gets really mad at Mike for bringing Abby just because Abby kind of got electrocuted from strumming Bonnie's guitar, there wasn't that same energy right before that, and I feel like there should have been a bit more explanation for it. One thing I love that the FNaF movie did were the cameos, especially from Matt Pat and Corey Kenton, and not gonna lie, they're actually pretty good actors. But now, let's move on to what you guys probably been waiting for, the ending. But based on how quick it was, it kind of felt a bit rushed. Matthew Lillard was an extremely underutilized character in this movie, and that's really a lot. Are they setting it up for the next movie? Maybe, but I just wish that they used him a lot more, not just in the beginning as a career counselor and the ending as William Afton. I feel like they should have did a bit more with Steve Raglan towards the beginning / middle, so they kind of made it a bit more of a twist for non-FNaF fans when they found out that he was playing Bonnie. Also, another part of the ending was Vanessa being William Afton's daughter. I mean, yes, that makes sense. However, they could have, like I said before, they could have built it up a bit more, executed it a little bit better. It's a good idea, just needs like a bit more planning before that. In conclusion, my final grade for the FNaF movie is a 6 out of 10. It's not a bad movie, it's not a good movie, but it's okay. As a FNaF fan, I kind of found it alright. It wasn't very disappointing per se, however, I felt like they could have done better on so many things. The writing was kind of weird, the plot was all over the place, which is obviously a very FNaF thing, but I felt like they could have explained a bit more instead of spending all that time with the animatronics being silly in front of Abby. The movie was not just cons. There's definitely a lot of pros, like I said, the animatronics, the cameos, and there's a lot more than just those two things. But the movie has some things to work on, and I actually hope they make a sequel, because right now the box office is looking pretty good. But I'm going to wrap the video up there. If you guys enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and join the Discord server in the link in the description below. If you guys disagreed with some of the things I said, respectfully leave it in the comments below. We're all human, we all have different opinions, etc., you know. But I'm going to end the video here, and I'll see you all in the next video.